Hello there. Thank you very much for joining me today for another episode of SimCity 5. This is episode 4, I believe. We are going to buy another plot of land to make 3. I believe there are only 4 in this particular area. I was hoping to avoid minerals. Wish I could think I don't want to say industry because that's just a yellow line. There is very little water, very little coal, and a reasonable amount of ore. And I wanted to avoid it. Both of them, I figured we had enough for now. So I built the city thinking I would just get workers, offices, and start building up the education. Unfortunately for me, I made a big mistake and I waited too long to install the schools and open the fire department, medical clinic, and police station. Things got out of hand real quick. But in my defense, you will notice after the first build, I'm in the hole quite a bit and I don't recoup it right away. I keep my services off, police, medical, and fire, because it's too expensive to run. It's like 900 simoleons an hour or something like that. And I was too sidetracked with roads and the best way to avoid conflicting with what little water we had before I even realized that I hadn't even installed the first school. And oh my goodness, everything went downhill from there. But I didn't record that, so maybe I can show you in the next video. But I end up close to, I think the total number of occupants on all 3 lands is about 85,000. I don't think it's possible to reach 1 million inhabitants. Maybe throughout the whole world. I think this is a 16 city world. It might be possible, but I don't think one plot of land can ever hold 1 million occupants. So maybe I should give up on that attempt. And yes, the roads are goofy, the layout is goofy, but I'm over-concerning myself at the moment with water. I'm hoping maybe another plot of land somewhere down the road will have a ton of water, but I don't think that's the case. I think we're in a plateau, and once the groundwater is gone, I think it's gone. However, it rains quite a bit here. And I had hoped that that would bring the water table back up, but I didn't notice it. So I'm a little confused about that. We ended up, my first water plant, I ended up having to close it and put another one down because we were just getting so low on water. This was what I had hoped would be a relaxing plot of land turned out to be the most chaotic. I wanted to do a roundabout, thinking it would help me branch out around water and minerals. Didn't work. Yeah, you have your typical nightly fires when you first start up the game. So all of my industry went in one fell swoop, and it destroyed the land, which is very upsetting. But I notice when you play Cities Skylines, it does the same thing. The land gets discolored and it won't go away. Even if you get rid of your industry, the ugliness remains, and there has to be a way to clean that up. If you can clean up a river, you should be able to clean up the land. I don't know. But it's unfortunate. Of course, SimCity Cities Skylines has mods that work on things like that. This game obviously does not. It's a defunct game. But it's one of those casual, relaxing games. You set it up, and then you just sit back, and you either watch what occurs, or you do something else while this runs in the background, and you check on it every once in a while just to see what's up. And I don't mind that. I hope you guys don't either. It's fun. I don't mind it. Pretty sure I mentioned that I space my roads quite far apart so that as the city does grow and expand, there's enough room for the buildings. And again, comparing it to City Skylines, that doesn't seem to be an issue. I think they go by little 4 squares is enough for whatever size building. But here that's not the case. It looks like you've got too much space at the moment, but as it goes up to 2nd tier and then 3rd tier, those buildings get huge. And they have parking and play areas in the back, sidewalks on the side, and it just expands to the point where if you do put your roads too close together, there's overcrowding. And then some of the buildings can't expand as a result. So that's why I space my roads as far apart as I can. And other than that, I just, like I said, I concentrated too much on the roads. Which, if I'm being honest, the roads in this one did not prove as much difficulty as other roads in the other cities did. This wasn't all that bad. They bogged down on that center strip just to the right of the expressway. The city expanded much quicker than I had anticipated, and I still don't know why. Because I didn't add that much. I gave them parks and a couple like tennis courts and basketball courts. But I didn't really go nuts. However, when I ended up breaking down and adding this just to start getting some money, because you'll notice up to this point I wasn't making a dime, I was losing it. Which was a shame. I really didn't want that type of industry in this particular city. And I don't know if I'm going to need it once I break 1 million, but we'll have to find that out. So see, as soon as I installed that ore mine, everyone started expanding. Maybe that was the issue, I don't know. But even up to this point, I still hadn't put the schools in because I'm like, will you please make some money? I have no money here to do anything. And it just went on way too long before I finally started making some money. So maybe the mistake was not putting the ore mine in from the start and then eventually getting rid of it. But you'll notice that the ore overlaps most of my water. And that makes me nervous. It's like, what does the city do without water? You can borrow it from other cities. But this is the 3rd city that I've built so far, and none of them have enough water to share. To be honest with you, I was thinking of just completely deleting this and finding that one. It has a bunch of Asian names to it. This seems like South America here. The other one had Asian names. It was just as big, but it had a decent supply of minerals. It had tons of water. There were actually waterways where you could do shipping and freight. And that was the one I was hoping to get. So I don't know. Should I delete this and start all over again? I don't know. That was the best I could do. And so I started getting vagrancy in the park, unemployment. Well, the odd thing was the buildings had expanded so much that they were only looking for the educated type of employee, even though I had no schools. And so a lot of people ended up jobless. And that became a huge problem. Crime and all that stuff. Crime and arson rose. So that was the third city, and we're going back to the first one here. You'll notice I have a ton of money and a decent size community. Except for that industry there that completely ruined the land, but I did shift everything. They seem happy. They're not complaining about anything. There's not a lot of death. There's not a lot of illness. Hardly any fires. Well, there were a few. But they do have a high school and an elementary school. Yeah, I can't quite read that from where I'm sitting, but I think it was either they complained about crime or not enough shoppers. I can't remember. Probably something totally different. But it's moving along and it's making a decent amount of money, except I noticed there my sewage starting to get a little overflowing. So all you have to do is add another pump and then it works itself out. And then the power was rather low as well. But all three of these cities are using the train, which is great. I put shuttle buses in all three cities as well. So it's not mass transit where they can go from city to city on a bus, but they can hop on a shuttle within the city, and that helps traffic issues. The weird thing is you would think it would help pedestrian issues, but it doesn't. I have so many people walking everywhere, and that never changes. Yeah, the power here, you have three choices. This one I put down was the cleanest, but I know that's a good thing, but I look for the one that uses the least amount of coal. And then this was our second city, Palomino. And it's doing almost as well as the first city. You'll notice that the population is up. We're over 1 million. This was the calm city. And I'm wondering if that straight through expressway has something to do with it. When you get an off ramp that just dies, yeah, I have 2 big boxes in my city. One's orange and the other's purple. But when you get a plot of land that has an off-ramp that just dies there, it seems that you have more struggle than if you have one that just goes straight through from one side to the other. I don't know why. Probably making a big deal out of nothing. But yeah, this city is quite boring, but everything is going well. No complaints there. So we go back to the third city that we bought. The one we just left. And oh my goodness, it just gets worse and worse. So the industry seems to have enough to expand, but they keep complaining expand the roads, which I've mentioned before I will not do for industry because they get too big for themselves. And if you don't have the huge expensive fire department, you're in big trouble. All of these things will have hazmat situations, and I'm just not, even though I have the money, I'm not going to go for that. It's terrifying to have one of those things turn green every few minutes and just boom. Maybe I will, I don't know. So because I chose to get ore, we have to switch the shipping so that at least the export is there and it's doing well. However, I have to import my coal. As soon as it gets up to 100, I shut it back off, and then I'm not constantly paying for it. And it takes a while for that coal to go down for the power plant. So you can go a couple weeks, couple months without having to order more. But that's basically it for now. I hope you enjoyed this, and as always, thank you for supporting my channel. Have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.